Hi there, my name is Christine Merkle, and I'll be discussing a protest photo by Jonathan Bachman. This instantly iconic photo was taken in July of 2016. On the right, you have Iesha Evans, a protest demonstrator approaching police on the left, who are clad in riot gear. Miss Evans traveled from her home in New York to Baton Rouge to join the protest because she said on Facebook that she wanted to look her son in the eyes to tell him she fought for his freedom and rights. So she went to a rally. She went to rally against police brutality and bring attention to the Black Lives Matter movement. The protest took place on Airline Road, where the Baton Rouge police are headquartered. The police tried to clear the protesters from the street when Miss Evans approached. Iesha Evans is from New York, and at the time of the photo, her son was 5 years old, and she's also a nurse. She left the crowd of protesters and approached the officers in riot gear alone. She was one of the 102 people arrested for obstructing the highway by the officers that day in riot gear. The police shootings of Philandro Castile of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Alton Sterling of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, had revived a wave of protests over police treatment of minorities that had swirled for the 2 years before the photo was taken, and also gave rise to the Black Lives Matter movement. Miss Evans stands, arms crossed, in front of a large group of officers, silent, appearing almost serene, but seemingly refusing to budge in the middle of the road. The only thing moving is her long dress flowing in the breeze. The contrast between her body language and those of the approaching police officers is made even more powerful by her flowing black and white outfit. The manner in which this is presented as two halves of a composition capture the perfect moment. It's a study in contrast where the heavily armed officers look like they're taking down a heavily armed subject, while on the right side of the photo, a single African American woman seemingly knocked the officers off balance with her gaze alone. You can see in the background behind Miss Evans, it's just a grassy area. And the background behind the officers in the foreground is just a line of more officers. If we cover up Evans' image on the right, it looks as if the officers are ready to battle a big crowd of armed warlords. As a composition, a combination of capturing the perfect moment from the correct angle and cropping it to highlight its symmetry. The photographer, Jonathan Bachman, works freelance and was on assignment for Reuters. He told BuzzFeed News, "I photographed someone arguing with an officer, and then I looked over my shoulder and saw her there, and she had every intention of not moving. She just stood there and made her stand. I was just happy to be able to capture something like that." He was up until 3 a.m. after an entire day of documenting protests in and around Baton Rouge. He said, "I had gone to bed, and when I woke up, went right back to Baton Rouge." Not even when the BBC sent him an email with questions that did he understand that his photograph was going viral. Then his father called and said to him, "John, your photo is all over the internet." Within the first 24 hours, the photo of Evans had gone viral across social media and various news outlets. Since his photo went viral, Bachman has been inundated with emails and calls, some coming from photographers he's looked up to for years. He says it's a very humbling experience. It's a little surreal as well. Unbeknownst to him that one of his photographs would, hours later, be hailed as iconic. Bachman says Iesha Evans should be the one getting the credit. She spent 24 hours in jail after her arrest. "People have been trying to talk about me, but really it's that woman that made the photo." Bachman's peaceful protest image shares similarities with these iconic protest images. Tank Man is a photo of a Chinese man who stands alone to block a line of tanks heading east in Tiananmen Square on June 5, 1989. The man, calling for an end to violence and bloodshed against pro-democracy demonstrators, was pulled away by bystanders, and the tanks continued on their way. The unidentified man became the symbol of resistance against the dictatorial regime. This photo became one of the most influential images of all time. The next photo is of a demonstrator who offers a flower to military police in Arlington, Virginia, at a National Mobilization Committee to End the War in Vietnam sponsored protest. The photograph was taken by Staff Sergeant Albert R. Simpson. Another example of a peaceful demonstrator standing his ground is Bill Hudson's image of a Parker High School student, Walter Gadsden, being attacked by dogs, which was published in the New York Times on May 4th, 1963. The last one is a no NATO demonstrator in New York, or in Chicago, in 2012. This was photographed by Bartosz Brzezinski. Bachman's photo may serve as an anchor in the modern civil rights movement, where the hero of the photo stands tall and proud, a maiden of grace, reminiscent of a Statue of Liberty-like figure. She's up against people who are armed to the teeth, and she appears in a flowing dress. In a fraction of a second, captured by Bachman, Miss Evans embodied a special quality of guts and courage, as Ernest Hemingway defined it, grace under pressure. Thanks for watching.